There you go.
1, 2.
Well, just remember all the stuff
There you
you
go.
and go. And your life.
Okay, so this one breaks. You're going to need a sponge, and then everybody should have these two.
Okay, that's better.
But when I start to trim, maybe we'll zoom in
Okay.
closer. So you need these two. Some of you can use this throughout from beginning to the end, and then most likely we will also need this because if you want to cut on a very wide surface, this one saves much time and also gives you a clean shape, right? And then you need this when you're fixing the handles. This is my kind of scoring tool. And then you need, I can't remember where I have the other one. So this is what I have. And so I'm complementing it with this one. Okay, so we're going to need these. This is also a trimming tool. Yeah.
Is that for the inside?
It could be for anywhere.
It looks like a curtain holder.
Yeah. A wall hook.
Yeah.
Okay, let's zoom in now. You can use the 3.3, 3.
Yeah.
That's really
Is
close.
it okay?
Please stand by.
Your expression.
I thought someone was pushing on my back. I was like, okay.
I think that's okay.
Yeah. Use dope soap.
No. Coconut.
Okay, so the disc is very dried. Okay, it should be clean and dry, but it shouldn't be this dry, and the clay also shouldn't be this dry. At least it should be a little damp. So we wet this, and then okay, you may watch a video where people are trimming on a hump. Alright, they'll have a clay centered and they'll put this on. That's also one way of doing it. Or you can see that they'll have, instead of the hump in a wet clay, will be a bone dried or even a fired clay. You set it in here and then this one goes onto it. Or you may see somebody will center a clay, make it flat, and then you just put this on so that they will not need any support. Right? The clay is wet and so it's going to grip this.
Suction.
Yes, right? So whichever way, now you can see that there are a lot of options, whatever you want to do. But now you're not going to go on those routes. So we wet this, and then you're going to make use of the rings. So you try to put this in the center as much as possible. So now it's covered this one, and so we're going to use the big one, the next big one, which is this. So you try to put it in the center as much as possible. You don't just look at this and then put it somewhere here. That's so unfair. So try as much as you can, and then in the middle. Okay? Ooh, this is almost there. But you're not going to go this way. You may do this and like one attempt it will work. Okay? But let's assume this is not work, or this didn't work. So let me mess it up. Okay, so something like this. And then I'll use this tool, or it can be this, or any tool that can make a mark on any part of the work. Okay, so 2 ways. You may watch a video those who are expert, some tap to center it. Okay, so just as it moves, tapping maybe 1, 2, 3, and then center. Alright? Up till now, I can't do that. Okay, it needs some practice and consistency, because if you're not careful, you'll be hitting one end, and then by the time you're done, it's gone. Some also grab it like they're centering the clay, and then do the centering. Okay, but for now, let's go with the touch. Okay, you can use your finger, but the finger cannot make the mark. So we're using something that can make a mark. So if you want to go from the side, you hold it still, closer to the piece. So if it is wobbling, the part that is way off the center will touch the tool, and then you have a mark. So for instance, I do this, can you see the mark? Yes. So I'll stop, and then make sure the mark is right in front of me. Then I'll push to the other side, just slightly. Because if you push more, you're going to go in circles. Like you do and do and do and do, and spend all the day without anything happening. So I'll push slightly, and then try again. So if I want to try again, I can choose to clean that line or that mark, and then start another one. So I hold still. So still, the line is not what? Fully right. So I can push slightly. But one thing, if almost all of us are cutting and pulling or pushing from the wheel after we are done throwing, and also not all of us have our pieces well centered after it is pulled, so it could be wobbling. Okay, so if your piece is not centered in itself, you may use this technique for a long time without you finding it well balanced. Okay, so if that happens to you, we will try the other option. So for instance, this one I could have pushed a little further and try again, and then see if I will get a full circle. But let's say this is not perfect, it's wobbling by itself and it's kind of not straight. So we're going to use the top part. And once again, make sure that before you take your piece off the wheel, you use either this tool or this one to kind of clean the edge, right? So that you have it straight. If you don't clean, you're going to cut and you'll be like it has what? Do you call it a wing or what?
Yeah. Skirt.
Like a skirt, yes. We don't want that. Okay, because that would be sharp and it can break, and so you're not going to get something very even. So you use this to clean the excess, and so you can have something even. That way, when you come here, you're going to find yourself find things easier. Okay, so
like if it has a skirt, it's while it's on the wheel, like after
yeah,
thrown it?
while it's on the wheel, before you take it off. So you hold this again still, and then you bring it close and you make a full circle. Okay, so if you were able to do a proper cleaning here whilst on the wheel, you're going to see if one part is bigger than the other. Okay, you want to zoom in. If one part is bigger than the other, you push the bigger side towards the smaller side. All right, just slightly. Okay, so for instance, this is slightly bigger than this side, so you're going to push just so. One thing, because I've been talking and talking, the more this one stays, it's going to get stuck. So you need to do the centering as fast as you can. So, oops, I pushed more. I pushed so much. So let's try again. Okay. Right, so now it's almost close, if you can see. Okay, so you're going to use this to do your centering. Alright, so if you have this straight like you have here, almost all the sides are even, but when you spin the wheel, the body of the work will kind of be a little wobbly. Just concentrate on the foot. Okay, that means that you cannot trim much from the body. So if your work is very thick, it means you cannot trim further, because if it is wobbling and you trim, you're going to have one side gone, because almost just one side will be touching the trimming tool because it's not straight. All right, so just concentrate on making or getting the foot down. All right, okay, that said, I'll do this again. Try to use the damp sponge. Don't be tempted to use much water here. Right, it can get stuck, all right, but it will weaken your piece. You will take it off and then you have the rim very, very messy. That's another work to do. Yeah, so try as much as you can not to wet it too much. And oh yes, I remember this, I have to say it before I forget. If you take your piece of the wheel, definitely you're going to have, so there's this, you can find some of them on the shelf. When you take your piece of the wheel, right, the rim may be not straight, right? So before it dries, you put this against it and try to push it and turn. All right, so it's good. While it's close to leather hard, while it's still malleable, right, and not too malleable and not too dry. Okay, so not really in this state. This is so leather hard. So you push and turn, and then you try to straighten it out.
And we can do that before we trim?
Yes. If the clay, what?
What if it's fat? Like, what if we need to, like, it's
They're,
thick?
they
I mean,
are,
like, if it's the clay is thick and you need to trim a lot off of it.
no, I'm talking about you trying to get the rim straight.
Oh, even, okay.
Even,
Okay.
we're not talking about trimming here.
Okay.
We're just talking about when your rim is not even. You want to even it out. So you push this, right? And then you can see that every part is touching the mold. Okay? So that means that definitely there's always some plus or minus one. But this will get you close. Alright? Okay, so that's just by the way. So let's go back. So after I wet this side, I'll get some clay. Make sure this clay that you're going to use is not too wet, because it's supposed to hold this in place. So if it is too wet, this kind of overpower it. Okay, not too wet and not too stiff. Okay, so once again, there's there's options here. You can have a big coil like this, and then put it around the clay. Okay, I've never done this big before. Mostly I do something like this, but we'll get there. So you put this just to be on the safer side. So you put this around. Coil is not enough, so you can add more. Okay, so, and then you hold this. It is centered. So if you don't hold it and you push, from the side, it can decenter it. And also, if your work is, whether it's too dried, whether it's leather hard or wet, try not to push against the work too much. You're pushing diagonally, or just press down, okay, like this. All right, and then press gently against the work. If you press too hard, it can break, or how do you call it? Is it squish or whatever?
So you're creating like a little barrier to just
Yes,
keep it where-
just to hold it. Okay, so you can do this, but if you can, you can do it at the same time by pressing diagonally, okay, into the angle between the work and the wheel. Okay, but if you cannot do that, just do this against the wheel, and then this against the work. Okay, so you do it all across. Okay, just to make sure that this has a full grip onto the wheel. All right, another option is to have this, maybe this could be one ball, it could be 3 or 4. You put one here and then you do same against the wheel, against the clay. Okay, you do 1, 2, 3 or 1, 2, 3, 4. Whichever way you want to go, make sure that you hold this before you press. Okay, if you feel like you can go with this, do it, but I won't advise that now. This is too small. So as and when you continue to make and gain the experience, you can be doing like this, and you can still hold. Okay, so let's put this here. So like I was saying, I did this once, so I pressed against the wheel and the clay at the same time. So I did it in the center or in the middle, but I can do against the wheel, against the clay. If I want to do it 4 spots, so 1, and then I hold the work. Don't forget to hold the work, otherwise you center it, and then when you're done with this, you're going to get frustrated that it got decentered. You did it. The clay didn't do it by itself. Okay, let's hope that I did the right thing and it will not fly away. So once again, you don't, even though you're on a very smooth road, very well tarred road, don't overspeed. Okay, you need you need much speed, but not more than enough. Okay, let's say you need enough speed. Yes, no, more than enough. Okay, because if this has to fly over, you cannot save it. But if you're speeding at a moderate speed, and then maybe you get someone, maybe a child or somebody crosses you, right? What? You're gonna hit.
Yeah, I was just a kid.
Okay, so just go at a speed where you can catch this in case it flies over, right? Okay, so you're going to hold this, once again, your hand being steady. Right, so if you're taking notice, one thing runs through from the beginning to the end, from throwing to trimming. Your hands have to be steady. Okay, the clay shouldn't overpower you. So you're going to hold this. Mostly, I love to do it this way if the work is not too big. So this hand here is like what? Like a guard. In case it wants to fly, this can at least give it some amount of Yes, cushion. That is only if it's going this way. But if you want to fly that way, no. So
It's lost then.
you can start with this side or this side. Okay? So if you want to go with this side, try to go with the angle. If you want to go with this side, you go with the middle part. Alright? So it's going to be the same as when we were centering. You bring the tool closer and then don't try to cut all at once. Just bit by bit. So my hands have to be steady, and then you see that the parts that are high will be cutting off. Okay? So I'm not speeding. Okay? So I do it bit by bit. I intend to take everything here, but not to do it at once. It has to be gradual. Yes, ask your question.
Like the pen tool, you're only keeping it at one spot. You're not going in if the thing is going in. Right, like so you have your pen, like when you were doing the pen tool.
Yeah, just
so you're
keeping
keeping
it
steady. So if it's not touching it, it's not pulling anything.
No.
Okay.
So if like here, okay, it's touching, but I'm not putting any force to it, so it's not going to cut. So I have to press against the clay, but not too much. And at the same time, it has to be in one position. Okay, and then one position, but I'm coming down like vertically. Okay, but if it will get to a point I can start from down and come up. That is when I'm working on the body. Okay, but now I'm just looking at giving it a foot. So I hold this and cut. You may choose to start with this too, right?
You have a lot.
What?
If you have a lot of stuff.
Not really, but this can cut a bigger chunk than this one. But that doesn't mean that you have to do it at the goal. It's still the same thing. You hold it. So if you cannot hold it like I'm holding it now, this and then a thumb here, and this guiding it, you can do this. Okay? It is allowed. But that means that you're very confident that this is well secured, right? And you don't want to cut at once. It has to be cut bit by bit. So, okay. So, whilst I go down, it's cutting on the body, right? So now I just straighten this out. Okay, so then I'll decide whether I want this type or this. Okay, so you decide which one you want. Okay, so if I want this one, I'm not going to work on this side again, unless maybe I want it smaller. Okay, but if I want this, I have to make some 2 lines. So let's say, which one do you do first? You're going to do this, okay? But I don't want this, I don't want it this wide. So I'm going to go maybe up to the line that we have here. So I'll put it around, and then gradually it cuts.
How do you know you're safe to do that and you're not going to go inside your cup?
That is a good question.
Yes, I was going to go there. You
Okay,
should
sorry.
know. No, it's okay. You should know you threw the work on the wheel. So you should know the amounts that you left.
They say we don't.
Say you don't. Okay. Say you don't. But that could be very suicidal.
I'm done.
If you say,
Yeah,
if you say you don't, okay, because it could happen that just one cut can end everything up.
Yes.
That's why I said it will be very suicidal. So you should always know. So let's say you know, but it's thin.
Yes.
Okay, it's not too thick.
Right.
It's thin. So what you can do, you turn the work upside down like this, or after you have centered it, okay, you can you can either try to push it in a little. If you think you cannot do it that way, you can use something like this. You put it at the back, all right, and then you press it down, so it kind of goes in recessed.
Yeah.
So it means that you're not going to cut that part because it's already thin. Okay, so you do that, and then you only work on the outside.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
But you should always know how much you have left in there. Okay? Sometimes you may know, but this trimming can be very interesting and enjoyable.
I like to watch it.
I know, I'm like, I'm going to
Is that
Yeah.
time to watch?
Not
Because
It looks like when you get kids.
sometimes you can, if you have a very big piece and then you trim it and you see the trim or you see the shavings go.
It's like
Yes, so
Yeah,
satisfying.
it's so satisfying. So that can,
fuck you up.
yes, and then you just forget yourself, and by the time you realize, you make a camera.
Yeah.
Yes.
Big holes.
We're not making a pinhole camera yet. Okay, so I'll continue to cut until I get to the line. So now I'm up to the line, but I want this side to be straight. So just straighten it up. And also, if the wheel, even though we don't want much speed or more than enough speed, if the wheel is going slower, don't press the tool too much. Okay, because it will be like the clay is you're trying to force the clay to kind of the wheel is moving, but it looks like it will seem like the force that is on the clay is too much than the force that is revolving it. Okay, so there will be that conflict, and then this can come off. Okay, so whenever the tool is on the clay, you should feel the clay moving freely. You shouldn't feel so much tension in your hand when you press against the tool. Okay. Whenever you feel more than much tension, it means that you're pressing more than you should press, or you're cutting more than you should cut. So you should reduce the pressure or increase the speed. Okay, so now I have this side straighten up, and then I'll make a mark depending on how thick you want this to be. Okay, so let's say I want it this thick. Right, so I'm going to take this side off the clay in the middle here. Right, but don't do this. I'm just demonstrating. Don't do this when you're on the wheel, because you're doing it yourself. You know where you want to cut, right? So just make the mark. Okay, you'll get to a point you wouldn't need to make the mark. You just start to trim, and you get to where you want and you stop.
That sounds.
Okay, so then I'll use this side. Look for the middle of the piece. Okay, so you put it in the middle. Always make sure this is in the middle before you start to cut. So you hold it still, making sure it's in the middle so that it will not be wobbling. So it's in the middle. Now I'm going to push it to the side. The wheel is going counterclockwise. That means I'm right-handed. So I'm going to go against the direction. If the wheel is going this way, you go that way. Okay? So I'll hold it from the center, and then I go gradually. If you feel like you need to catch a breath because you're not breathing, you can stop and go again. So you see how much I cut? Just gradually. Okay, so at this point, you don't have to rush anywhere. That is why you have to give yourself some time to do this. Don't do it in the last minute. You haven't done it before, and then just the night before you have to leave, you bring all the four and want to get out of here. You may end up going back to start to make the work because you will destroy everything. So I'll go again from the middle to the side, and then I stop. Okay, I'll start again from the middle to the side. Okay, so this is when you have to know how much you left. Okay, so if I know that at least I have like twice of this depth, I'll stop. If I have twice of this depth as the thickness, it means that I've already taken half of it away. So I just stop. Okay? Or if you're making a bigger piece, or sometimes you can, if your piece is not too dry or too little hard, you can do this and you feel the thickness. It will be like it's kind of trying to sink in when you press, when you touch. But if it is a little hard and very stiff as it is now, you can also tap. Okay? You can tap, and if it is not thick, the sound will be more clear. Okay? The sound will be more clear than this. Okay? So, and also, if you can't do this, don't. Because sometimes it may be just right there. You tap pump, and then your finger will be in there. Okay? So the most important thing is to know how much you have, and then when you, after cutting, you don't have to beat, you don't have to press or anything. You just stop. Right? So let's say this is how much, or I want to go further, I can go. Let's try and see if I remember how much I left. Okay, so when you get to this point, you may leave it as it is, but make sure you don't have the edges very sharp. Okay, if it is sharp at this stage, you can just, your hand can be just rubbing around and everything. But once it's dried or once it's fired, it becomes a weapon. Your hand goes and then shoot. Okay. Okay, so if I want to leave it this way, I can. If I want to kind of give it a round form, I can also do that. The same way I'll use this flat end. Okay, so I'm going to hold this at an angle. Okay, and then go over like this. Okay, so I hold it and then go over gradually all the way here. Okay, it's all about how steady your hands can be. Okay, and it can be round. Okay, so let's say you did this and you want to change your mind. You can do whatever you want. Let's say I want to do this, I'll use this side, I want some curve somewhere, and then I put this here, and now I have something different. Are you hungry? Okay, you can do whatever you want.
It's like almost like that.
Almost like what?
That.
Oh, this one? This one is straight. This is kind of this way. Almost is too close.
you would just trim that down and make it all smooth, right?
Yeah, this side, yeah, you can just, because it's looking very sharp. Okay, if you want to make some lines, you can use this. Oh, it's always the part that you use, the part of the wheel, the tool you use determines the kind of effect you have. Okay, so this is a very acute angle. So if I use this, I'm going to have something like this. Okay, if I use the corner here, I'm going to have something like this. But if I use this side, I'm going to have something like this. Can you see the difference?
Yes.
So the part of the tool you use determines what you get. If I have to use this side, it's also going to give me something different. Okay? So know what you want. If you don't want anything on it, just leave it as it were. Because if you do anything like this and you want to clean it up, unless your piece has a lot of clay in it, otherwise when you do, it's going to be either very thin or it will break. Okay, so for instance, if I want to clean this, I can clean. That means that I'm going to leave the body of the work or the wall very thin, and that's not a bad thing, but that means that you need to have a second look at controlling the piece, because it's thin. If you don't handle it carefully, it can break easily. Okay, so any questions?
The thinner it is it more likely to break off in the camera, or?
No, but for now, I wouldn't say go very thin, because you're still learning how to handle the clay. All right. Okay, let's try this and do this. Okay, so if I lift this, I feel to me it's a little heavy on this side, so I can put it back and do the correction that I want to. Okay, but if you want to leave it like it is now, that's fine, because it's not too heavy, just that it has some amount of heaviness around this area. Okay, so you can always go back and correct whatever you have to correct.
And if we want to trim the top part of it too, like
This?
to make it even.
Oh, this part?
Yeah.
Yes, you can trim. Maybe okay, let me put it back. So, in fact, I forgot to go to this side because on the wheel, I made this side thin enough. Okay?
Okay.
And I didn't also wanted to bother myself to give this side a very smooth surface. That's why I didn't go there. But if you want, you can go all the way. So let's put this back. Is it 12?
Yes.
Yeah.
I know.
12 what?
12.
Just 12, exactly 12.
Oh.
I should start being a magician or something. Okay, so one funny thing, if you bring it back on the wheel, you have to center it again. And if you're centering focused on the foot or the lower part here, don't change it. Okay, just use this side to do the centering. Otherwise, if you use the body, the top is going to kind of be centered and you have to do a lot of work. Okay, so I'll see if I can try this side to do the centering. I push it a little forward. Well, it's not that bad. A little more. And always, there's always that plus or minus. If it is not spinning 100% even, that's okay. Unless it's kind of very wobbly, no. That is very scary. And that it can go off easily. Okay? So if I want to go onto the side and all the way down, it means that when I get to where this is, I have to take it off. Okay, so let's say I go and I want to go all the way down, so I have to stop, take this off, take it off, so I can go all the way down. And also always remember the contour of your piece and what kind of tool can do what you want for you. Okay, so for instance, if you want to use this, you know which part. If I do it straight, this is kind of curved, so if I put it there, it cannot cut even. Okay, so that means that if I have something like this, I can use it. Or if you want to use the little guy here, you can also use it. Okay, so I go all the way down. Okay, so if you feel like your piece is too thick and you want to how do you call it, trim it down, you can go all the way down.
How is it staying there if the clay is gone?
What?
How is it staying in the center if the clay is gone?
How would you say?
It gets
So if
stuck
we're
a
not
little.
No. What are you saying? What's going on?
It gets
You
stuck
took
a
the
little.
pieces out.
And it's still
How is it
stuck.
staying there?
It
Because-
gets stuck a little with
Yes,
the moisture.
because I put some amount of water on here, and then yes, I did this, and did that. So this has nothing to do with magic.
It is magic.
No, it is not. Okay, so I can go all the way down. Okay, so now that it's here, let me take a little from here. So if you take this off, it means that you're only working on this side. When you're done, just be safe and take it off. If you want to come back and work here, put the clay back there. So let's do it. Put it back. And then do whatever you want to do, because it's always depressing when you get to this stage and it kind of collapses. That means that there's no salvation. You have to go back and start. So take a little from here. Oh, you can also, if you have a lot of clay, like I think I have here, the foot can be tall from the outside. Okay, can be to an extent that you can hold it. Okay, hold it, especially when you're glazing. Just hold it here. You dip it into the glaze until maybe it's about to touch your fingers, and then you stop. So you don't have to deal with cleaning. Yeah. So let's say I want to do this. This brings me to another idea of, say, I want to change the foot and make it into like a skirt. So you see the shape of the piece is kind of changing from here because of what I just did. So whatever you do has an effect on the final piece. All right? Okay, I think it's okay. I'm taking a lot of your time.
That's
All right? Any questions
No,
before we try to work
no.
something like this?
Keep in mind, if we're planning on trimming a lot, keeping our walls thicker. or
What?
When we're actually drilling out, should we keep our walls thicker for planning on trimming?
No,
No.
I wouldn't do that. Just do whatever you want to do on the wheel when you're throwing, so that when you come here, the most of the work will have to be just giving the foot. Okay. All right, just let's be quick, and then we fix the handle and go away. Yeah.
It's so thin, it's so crisp.
Because I wanted to cover everything as much as I can. Because from here, some of us are not going to watch or read anything.
Some of us, including me. Sir,
Oh, you're the
I called
first.
this on this if you're giving it away.
What?
I'm already giving it. I called it.
You want it?
Yeah, I called it. I'm just saying. She got it last time.
No.
This is mine now.
That's no big deal.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
So this
all you
one
got.
is kind of almost on that ring.
This ring.
So if I put it and it spins very well, it doesn't mean I'm a magician.
We already decided you
He's
are.
really trying to like distance himself from the magic stuff in a way that's kind of suspicious.
Very suspicious.
You bring it up way too much. We're catching on.
Yeah, I feel like we're not even talking about it like you keep bringing it
I
up.
know.
No, I think you're talking about it in your mind.
Oh, he could read our
Yes.
It's alright. It's alright. We all know now.
Okay, so
It's recorded too.
this is centered, okay? Because it was right on the ring. Okay? If it were not on the ring, I'll just make 2 lines on the top and then push it against the thinner space or the thinner side. Okay? So I hold it, press this against the wheel and against the clay. Just to be on the safer side, I'm doing it on 4 sides. Okay, so first off, I want to clean the side. Gently hold this. You can, like I said, you can also do this. Just make sure that your hands are not all over the place, or the clay is not overpowering you. So whenever you think you're not comfortable with the size of this, because this is kind of a little blunt, you can always add up as much as you want, just for you to feel comfortable. Okay, because some of you, after doing this, will be tempted to do this. The wheel will be moving like this, and then you'll be like you're carving instead of the wheel spinning for you to trim. So always don't do this. Okay, try to give it some speed. Right? So you can always add up, making sure this is well secured. And be mindful not to press too hard against the clay. Okay, so let's say this side is clean, right? And then you decide how wide you want your foot to be. Remember, if the foot is like something as big as this, if the foot is very tiny, your piece is going to topple over. Okay, so always give it, that's why it's a foot. Okay, so that it can stand without falling. So let's say this is how wide I want it to be. So I'll make the inner circle and then I'll make the outer circle. So these 2 circles, this is going to be the thickness of the foot, like this. Okay, these 2 circles. So I'm going to cut out here and then cut the inside. Alright, so You can start with this, start with this side. Alright? So if you want to start with here, you can start from where the line is and then put it on gently, and then you cut bit by bit. Okay? Just slowly. I can do this faster, but I don't want you to be deceived. Okay, so I'll do it gradually, and then I'll go down, deep down to where I want to go or be. Or you can also, instead of just right on top, you can start from the outside and then you cut inward until you hit the line. Okay, so if I want to go this way, and then when I get to the line, I'll stop. Right? So either this, or you can start from out to the inside. And then when I come to the inside, put your tool in the middle, making sure it is in the middle. You see the tool is not wobbling? Yes, before you make a move. Alright? So you go to the outside until you hit the line. You stop. You come to middle again, go till you get to the line, go till you get to the line. Okay, so you do as much as you know how much is left or how much you left as the base. Okay, so now this is going to be the foot. I want to go a little further here, and then the same in the inside. So let's say we're doing the inside. I'll go again. I get to the mark, I stop. I do again. So be mindful not to overdo it. Otherwise, this is going to turn into a pinhole camera. Okay, so coming back here to go further down. Okay, so now I have the line drawn, so I can start cutting from anywhere. I can start from here or from here. So let's say I'm doing it from here. Then whenever I go in, I get to the line and I stop. Start again to the line, I stop. So this has an oblong shape, so I can decide that this will go and will not have any angle here, just flow into the contour of it. So that means I can take this off, or I can decide to leave it as it is and have it this way. Okay, so it goes this and this, or I can just decide it goes over. Right, so you are the boss. Alright, so whatever you're going to do here will depend on the kind of drawings or images you send to me. But if for any reason you have a very good ambition and you want to change something slightly, that is allowed. But don't always go for the easy side. Just challenge yourself. Okay? So, is this okay?
Beautiful.
Alright, so let's say I want to be a bit playful. And then maybe I can do this.
I'm gonna do that one.
Okay.
What?
You said it gotta be biometric patterns.
Huh?
You said it gotta be biometric.
I'm not talking about biometric here, I'm just talking about trimming and what you can do.
That's what I'm talking about, biometric.
That looks like waves.
Exactly.
Like
Oh,
the
that's what you
ocean.
mean?
Yeah.
You did it unintentionally. Look at you.
Okay. Any questions?
Magic.
No.
This has nothing to do with magic. It's just a quick.
Power.
Okay, so you can decide that your foot can be straight, or it can be diagonal, or it can be rounded. Okay, or you can give it a skirt. Alright, whichever way you want it. Okay, or one side, the outer part can be diagonal, and then the inner part can be straight. Okay, it's all up to you, or it can be diagonal, and you can do something like this. Okay? Alright, let's make the handle before we spend all the time. So whenever you take it off, you try, definitely the clay that you put on the side is you're gonna have some residue. So try to clean it up gently, and then you can use a sponge just to clean it gently, right? Okay, so the most common handle is the pulling method. Okay. Sometimes you may see people having it like maybe a small coil like this. Okay. So maybe a small coil like this, and then decide where to put it when you make your score. Can somebody give me the slip, the joining slip?
Yes, I want a handle. That's why I put it there. He put a handle on it.
I love it.
He's gonna do it completely.
Okay,
Matter of
so
fact, do that one first.
What?
Get up.
No. I put my order in.
so you put the slip here, and then the same way and then you attach. Okay, so always see when I press, this is kind of going.
Right.
Yes. So to be on the safer side, mostly you can see that people will have, there'll be a rounded wood or something, then they'll put this in and then hold it and do it. Or you just make sure that you don't press too much, or just put your hand here and press. Okay? Making sure that it is well attached. Okay? Then you wet this and your hand. So you're going to play with this, okay, with the fingers, alright? So it can be this side, the thumb, in between the thumb and the finger, or it can be in between the fingers. So you push down, or you pull down and push. My English is kind of getting messy. Okay, so you see, I'm turning. So because if I do it from one side, it's going to be uneven. So always make sure that if this one get torn apart, it means that I didn't wedge the clay properly, which is likely to happen. So make sure the clay is well wedged. So I pull to a point where I feel it's long enough, and then I'll turn it, score, and join. Okay, so let's say we want to go a little further.
How much are you squeezing, do you feel? Like,
Just very minimal.
So not too much.
like,
Well, I don't know how to measure that. It shouldn't be. It should be like you were trimming. It has to be, the pull has to be gradual. Don't try to pull all at once. So just keep playing with it until it gets long enough, okay? And so if you're holding a cup, sometimes your thumb has to get a resting place. So you can make something like this.
Fancy.
Oh, I forgot the camera. Something like this here, all right? So that when you hold the cup, this will be your resting place for the thumb. And then you score where this has to be. You put some slip there. And because this one is wet, you may choose not to slip it, score it. Okay, so just, I think it's still not there. So I'll pull it a little further, just to make it a little longer.
Can I have this?
You can have it.
Okay, cool. Can you put it on the
So you can choose to make it flat. Okay, if you want to make it flat, it's up to you and what you want and what you have decided to do. Okay, then you turn this, okay, whichever way you want to shape it. Okay, and push it, press against where I scored. Okay, so if this is how I want it, I have to make sure that I play around it as much as I want before I leave it. Okay, so it's scary.
Yes.
Exciting, I'm excited to try.
So let's say if this is what you want, you leave it. If it is not, once again, keep playing with how you want it. And always look at it from this angle. You can also put it down just to make sure that it is straight. Unless maybe that's your design to make it something like this. Instead of straight, it's kind of cool. See? Okay, so you leave it like this. Any questions? So I want to do a little securing. So I'm going to use this tool, and then in between here, I kind of force the clay, press the clay a little further in there. Okay. When you feel like this, something is not right, you can always come back and work around it. So I'll use my sponge to do some housekeeping, do some cleaning, and if you want the further cleaning to be done, you can always allow it to sit, and when it's getting a little hard and you want to clean any like spots here, you can do it. Okay, so let's say this is done. That is the pulley. You may also decide, how do I do this? Okay. So instead of putting it just on the cup and do it at the same time, you may choose to say have, maybe if you have something like this, that's fine. Or maybe you put it somewhere here. You do it, you pull, and then when you have the shape you want, you just, so let's say,
I think that would be easier because sometimes be too scared to fuck up.
okay, so we make sure that this is kind of, and then you put it there, and then you can always come back and take it. It can be on the table, either on the table or on the side of the table. You pull and then you curve it. Or you can decide to hold it. Okay, so I hold it this. Oh. So I hold it this way, and then I pull till I'm satisfied. Okay, if I want to make that space for my thumb, I make it and then I cut it.
Oh.
Okay, and then if I have a board, set it on the board, shape it how I want it. So maybe you make 4 or 5, you leave it for a while, and then when you lift it, it's going to stay in place because it's getting stiff, and you just score.
With some slip.
Yeah.
What about more, like these are all very rounded, what if you want more of a,
It's like a
I don't wanna say square, but like,
That's
rectangle.
that's why I said that you're the boss.
but
So
how do you do that?
Yeah.
it's just you playing with it. So let's say if I want it like this, I just hold it, okay, and then do whatever I want.
Ah,
That looks so pretty.
Just do whatever you want.
okay, and then I'll just let it set for a little bit.
Yeah.
say you wanted to like braid the handle. Like, could you do your
Yeah,
pieces
I
braided?
was gonna go there. So
Oh.
Fancy?
what?
Fancy?
Yeah. He's really using his powers today.
Yeah.
We
I
love
knew,
that joke.
I knew you're crazy, but I didn't know you this.
We're all
This
collectively just gonna drive you a little bit crazy during this time. We all share the same brain cell. It's all on Bluetooth.
Hive mind.
So whichever way you want to, whether you want 2 coils or 3 coil braid, you can do it. Okay, so let's say if I want 2, just put the 2, I hold it, and then just twist. Alright? And then after I've twisted, I have to shape it to how I want it to be on the cup. Because if you don't shape it, it's going to get stiff, and then you bend it, it cracks. Okay? You can also just go for 1 coil like this, and then however you want to shape it, let it sit, and then you can go on the cup.
That seems easier.
Or you can use a slab. Okay, so say I want something like this as a handle. Okay, you can make a template, and you can cut as many as this as you want. What do you want? What do you want on your cup?
You
Kind
decide.
of hand.
Surprise me.
I should decide.
Yeah.
Something dainty, because it's a very dainty cup.
Okay, this
So-
one cracked or it broke. Okay.
It's too dry.
Yeah, it's getting too dried. Let me cut another one. Hopefully this one worked.
I know, so remember, I have tiny, itty hands.
Yeah, that's why I'm trying to get you something that will take maybe, but
Like a teacup.
if I make you a cup that will take just your finger, it's gonna be very.
Like for your hand, it can hold like 3 fingers.
OMG, there's clay in my hand.
Uh-oh.
In your hand, like what?
Wow.
How did it get there?
I have lead in my
Because
leg.
I cut myself in jewelry on Monday, and I
Well,
guess I have a pocket. It was a burn. I didn't know that it was a pocket.
okay, welcome to the club.
Ew!
What is-
Ew! I'm taking it out.
Okay.
That looks satisfying.
You didn't have video, right?
Because is this why you say come in studio hours? Because in the lecture you explain it, and then the studio hours.
Can I squeeze
like,
it?
Yeah, because you can do
I got it
everything.
all out.
Is this okay?
It's a burn.
Oh, that's cute.
Okay, so they just
It's a burnt
oh,
and
that
it's
is-
Yeah.
What?
Because
Well,
then once it's on there, you can
I
like
know.
wet and smooth it, right? Like to make it all
Yeah.
like
Okay.
detail it.
Are you gonna be in the studio hours tomorrow?
I don't come here on Thursdays and Tuesdays.
You're never here.
It's because he doesn't like us, that's why.
There's always a person who's resting.
No, it's because BLC has classes on.
Now you can say whatever you want. I don't mind.
BLC has class, I think.
Okay,
I wish I
so
could be after the classes.
let's say it's see if I can put this somewhere. Okay, before I do this, let me not take much of your time. I'll do this so you know that I'm going to score and join, right? Yes. You can also decide to go for a double. Yeah. So like this, you can have another one.
Oh, like weird.
Almost like brass knuckles.
Another one that goes like
With a
this.
hug.
See, you're always thinking of fighting or punching somebody.
Never.
This is too dry.
I'm a lover, not a
But
fighter.
you know what I mean. So it's gonna have two, and then one in, one on top, one on.
And for you, it's 2 fingers in each.
I know.
Okay, so
Yes.
just thanks for your time. You can go back.
Thank you.